his opponent just because it was tier 3.
It's good execution in that game, but it looks like we do have upper bracket semifinals starting right now. ZenoAkoop versus ChipFromSpace on a no-tails land. So we have ChipFromSpace playing as Hopper to the southeast of the map, with ZenoAkoop in the north as Bellafeed.
Alright, that nice high ground from ZenoAkoop, 2 very protected bases on that high ground. ChipFromSpace does have the two flying units, except for Owl, so he will have vision onto the high ground fairly early, as he should if he's going to assault ZenoAkoop. Zeno, of course, with his own pigeons, and with Owl, which we've seen him use pretty well in the last few tournaments, due to the fact that Owl Bomb, of course, when the Owl dies, spewing out 6 mice all at once, is able to push over a lot of fights all in a row.
Interestingly, Chip went for 5 farm squirrels, which is not something we've seen today, and ZenoAkoop feels like he has to react, so he's going to put down squirrels on his 6th warren. We'll see if Chip can actually do something with these early squirrels he built.
It may be a fake out, to be honest.
He's still going to be a little bit behind in economy.
Yeah, Chip's going to have a really hard time assaulting uphill without at least getting some pigeons first. And ZenoAkoop, of course, very smart player, very calculated, knows exactly where to put his units in order to use some sort of shield in front of them, or knows how many units.
Warren positioning from Zeno is really strong here to defend against any type of aggression. He's just staying near his units just in case, I think. But Chip isn't going to attack, so he's just going to take a bit of an economic loss here because he built his unit so early. It might not matter in the long run, but definitely Zeno should feel good about this.
Would love to point out that Chip has Falcons, which definitely could threaten the other base the Zeno controls there.
Because oddly enough, there are a few ways into that base. You can go all the way on the west, or just go through the middle, and then you can get up to high ground. The first level of high ground to bring Falcons in range quite easily, which isn't something you can always do. So despite Bellafeed having high ground bases, they're not so easily defended as most high ground bases typically are. But let's talk about what's actually going on. ZenoAkoop is going to go up to 9 squirrels, is building his trademark ferrets, with Chip going for squirrels and some pigeons, and stacking up quite a bit of food to go for falcons.
Yeah, both players even in army value right now. And of course, both getting their first tier 2s out with a similar number of tier 1s, although ChipFromSpace, of course, has those pigeons for high ground vision. As ZenoAkoop playing with those lovely ferrets, which will be able to pick away at ChipFromSpace's units should he venture too close.
Interesting that Zeno is looking to pressure him really early with ferrets, given his defensive position.
It's probably just a good screen to get an expansion up behind it, as he will get that mill. And Chip's warrens are fairly exposed, actually, so he's going to have to be careful. 2 more shots on that warren, and it is down to just about 20 HP, so Chip has to be pretty careful not to lose a few warrens here and there. He's going to try and take this fight to see if he can push Zeno back. He has Falcons up alive. Falcons is doing quite a bit of damage, is getting targeted now, does get healed. Chip pulls it back just in time, but Zeno's ferrets are well and healthy. And I think Zeno comes in ahead right now because he does manage to take out one of Chip's warrens right there.
He also has machine gun nests. That's the main advantage here, I think. Setting a strong point down there is a really way.
Yep, the machine gun nest does go down, but it does cost Chip another Falcon, and again, the ferrets are alive. Although there's no more squirrels alive for Zeno, these Falcons are working out quite well for Chip, I have to say. And now Zeno lost his machine gun nest, has to wait for reinforcements, and Chip smells an advantage, although he does feel like he has to pull back. Really explosive fight so far. Again, Zeno's just going to keep piling on the pressure. It's probably what he feels like he needs to do here with these ferrets. Knows when to engage, knows when to pull back, but if these Falcons can stay in position and Chip can just keep them alive a little bit, then okay, ferret goes down for Zeno, but the Falcon's still alive, 3 heal stacks on it, so Chip is actually cleaning up this fight. And now it's up to Chip to deny Zeno this expansion. With having the Falcons for high ground vision, and Zeno doesn't have an answer for this. He has to wait for his ferrets, has to wait for his reinforcements. So ChipFromSpace successfully denying this expansion attempt from Zeno. But now we've hit about 4 minutes and 40 seconds, and players will have to expand. Chip grabbing a base to the northeast of his map, a base to the northeast of his main base, and is going to go fight right away. Falcon's going out a bit in front, and Zeno is just going to give up right then and there. Alright.
Yeah,
Chip
Zeno-
showing really strong here.
Zeno dropped those ferrets to get that expansion, but with that immediate aggression from Chip, I knew that he just couldn't make it.
Yeah, maybe unexpected aggression from Chip to go in that fast, but he did have most of his units still alive. So Chip seeing that he could just go right away. So Chip is going to be up 1-0 in this best of 5 against last week's champion ZenoAkoop.
All right, and ChipFromSpace is going to go for the trench, the last map that we have not seen yet. And ZenoAkoop's going to go for Belafide, which of course leaves ChipFromSpace as Hopper in the north.
All right.
I think Trench is one of the most balanced maps in terms of, well, the Belafide has certainly a bit of an advantage. The Hopper can pressure really easily. And once again, the mines aren't really, there's no place to land them, and the nice Trench in the middle provides something. I think the Zeno, if he pulls out the strategy like he did again with the ferrets, it could suit him very well, this map.
Yeah, it's definitely a good map for ferrets, I think. Just gonna wait for the players to set the correct map seed, and then we can get going. Definitely seems like a map that would favor Zeno's style, where he can get some bases, get some economy going. Hopper actually has one of the safest expansions we have in this entire map pool on the trench map, with like a base all the way in the west corner of the map, which Belafide has no way of contesting. So it's definitely an option.
Actually, you can contest. You can actually bring the ferrets down there. It's quite protected there. There's a small gap which you could walk.
That's true, I guess. Then it does leave your army a bit weakened, so it could force into a trade. We'll see if any of these things happen.
All right,
Looks like we have some issues. Yeah. We'll figure it out. This is the first time we're trying to run a tournament with fixed maps, so everyone's still trying to figure out how to run this most efficiently. We'll get it going, though. Looks like we might have a lobby remake.
Yeah, ChipFromSpace has been in this position before in the semifinals, even in the grand finals sometimes, beating his way back up from the loser's bracket, and hasn't yet been able to pull off the tournament. So we'll see if he loses to ZenoAkoop and manages to win again.
Well, he did manage to win the Strawberry Cup yesterday.
Oh, my bad.
Which is no small feat, because he did have to fight his way through Blowdeer. And let me just look at these brackets real quick. Yeah, Chip beating out Breposts and Blowdeer, who are two really strong players right now, so definitely a feather in his cap, I think. But it looks like we do have everything set up to get Game 2 going between ZenoAkoop and ChipFromSpace. Just waiting for our players to ready up. And then
I predict a lot of action in the middle, mostly same
Yes,
as
there's a lot
was
of
in previous games.
area to be contested for both of these players, so chances are they will be looking to compete for the space in the middle. We are in the army selection right now. ZenoAkoop going for the owl and the ferret again so far. Chip going for ferrets of his own. So far, fairly mirrored builds. This is definitely a map where falcons and ferrets seem really strong.
No signature board yet from Chip.
Yeah, he was using it last week to great effect, but then he went Fox to counter that very same board against other players, so he's going to go for the Fox here again. Though we didn't see Tier 3 coming into play last game, we'll see if it's any different now. So without further ado, let's introduce our players again. We have ChipFromSpace as Hopper in red in the northwest of the map, and ZenoAkoop as Belafide to the east in blue, playing on the trench. And what looks like, at first glance, a map that's easily split into defenses. There's actually not that much space to build. So we'll see how this actually plays out. and the players are forced to sort of expand toward each other after a while.
Yeah, interesting to note, ZenoAkoop has no structures. So it doesn't really have a way to counter that fox besides maybe the ferrets. But of course, if ChipFromSpace's micro is good enough, you can just dance around those ferret shots. It does have skunked out.
I would say that Zeno has the owl, which is just a free soak for the fox bullets. So if Zeno can get his tier 3 up, then I feel like the fox doesn't really have a good target. ZenoAkoop's going to go for 7 farm Warren, whereas Chip went for 8 farms. So Zeno's going to have a slight lead in army value at first. But we'll see if it comes into play at all.
You can clearly see from Warren placement which is planning to defend and which is planning to attack here.
Yeah, Chip definitely feels like he needs to secure this high ground before anything else, even though he has the very safe expansion all the way to the west of the map. And ZenoAkoop looks like he wants to play defensive and just get his army going, and then figure out where he wants to go from there. Alright. Players getting their armies up and running. ZenoAkoop is going to go 2 tier 1 into Ferret Warren right away, with Chip opting to add in more squirrels for now. He's building up some food, so he may be going for these falcons again, which we saw in game 1. And he is going to go for falcons, so pretty much a mirror from last game. No pigeons out for either player yet. Well, they could be very strong again. Chip is quite aggressive with these squirrels.
And ZenoAkoop is going to have to use his positioning really well before those falcons come out. Here we go. Squirrels going down from both sides, but it looks like
Chip snipes a farm.
Yeah.
Really nice play there. Did have the higher squirrel count for a while. And Chip will capitalize on that. So now Zeno does have his ferret up, because Chip is still waiting for his first falcon. So Zeno could push, but he's a little bit scared. Trying to build this farm up again. And we'll have to see which direction the players end up going to.
I think the Chip doesn't have pigeons this time, which could actually put falcons in a little bit more. You know, the falcons are really great damage dealers, but they HP so low that they can't really sometimes trade in efficiently if they don't have meat shield or the healing things.
Yeah, I'd assumed Chip had pigeons, but he doesn't actually have them, which is a great point. So he is going to have to be really careful with these falcons. There were a few times last game where he managed to micro them back just in time, just so they could get healed up again. It looks like Zeno is going to be looking to expand first here. He's built the mill, but no farms on it quite yet. He's keeping his army in a rather defensive position.
Chip is building up his falcon force, which suggests to me that he might peel Expo if Zeno decided to build an offensive Expo, but Zeno went with defensive Expo far in the back.
Yeah,
and is actually checking
that common. Yeah, Zeno cleverly checking the safe expansion from Chip, and Chip might be getting it now. It's not been scouted. All right, bit of a cheeky play. See if Zeno goes back to scout it. It's not that common, I think, for players to go up to 4 falcons this fast, this early in the game. Looks like Chip feels like now's the time to go. He has some toads and some squirrels. I don't know if toads are the play here against this many squirrels from Zeno. It's going to be pretty tricky.
This trench will be filled with bones soon, I think.
Bones and toads. Zeno grabs this base, it just tanks some damage. He spent 120 food on this. Chip is trying to push forward. Bilgit is going to be taking out a ferret. He still has 3 falcons alive. These falcons are tearing through Zeno's squirrel army, and Zeno trying to build a mill to soak damage, but it may have cost him a bunch of food. Chip is going to snipe a Warren. Does going to lose another falcon, but its reinforcements are coming in. Snipes another Warren, despite Zeno having the economic advantage. Looks like Chip might just pull ahead in army value right here. Chip loses another falcon, only has 1 alive right now. This toad is going to come in, is going to detonate. So now Zeno lost a farm. Chip is still looking healthy with all of his units. Zeno has to push this back right now if he wants to stay in this game. But here comes another falcon from Chip. Chip is just looking to brute force his way to another victory here. And Zeno is trying to reinforce. If he loses this base, he still has a backup. But is it going to be enough? Because now all of his Warrens are exposed. Chip is going to look to clean these up. Zeno might be looking for a last stand here with as many squirrels as he can get, with his Warrens tanking, but with this Falcon Alive is outputting so much damage. I think this is just Chip's game to take, unless Zeno with these final squirrels and a pigeon can clean it up, but I think this Falcon is just too strong for Zeno. And that's it.
It is. I think Zeno played a little bit too greedy, placing 3 farms before even discovering enemies at Expo, I think. And also that, Expo buy.
Yeah, he bought the expansion
That's
twice.
a lot of food. That's a lot of
Which
food.
was
If you count 120 plus 180 in farms invested,
And
plus
the
Expo.
important part is that he didn't win the fight because of it. So despite ZenoAkoop trying to soak damage with the mill there, I think it completely backfired. Right, so let's figure out which map the players are going to be playing next. Three times even. I counted twice, but I may have missed it. Okay, so I am being told that ZenoAkoop built the mill 3 times possibly, which is even more food wasted. And yeah, I think that definitely backfired, and then Chip just kept his falcons alive just long enough, despite not having pigeons. So I don't know if the toads did that much. Maybe having pigeons would have been stronger.
There weren't so much squirrels for falcons to be like a huge issue. The falcons generally can kill and sustain a lot more. The falcons doesn't trade as well if there's a lot of squirrels, but the game weren't progressed in that state where both of them had like 16 squirrels or around that count.
Alright, looks like our next map is going to be, Captain?
It's going to be Roundabout, and it looks like ZenoAkoop is going to go for Bellafeed in the south, which leaves ChipFromSpace as Hopper in the north.
I think I mentioned that we had seen all of the maps after this match, but I was actually wrong because we haven't seen Roundabout yet. So
Roundabout, I didn't play it, but I really want to see the D-Day landing on the Hopper side through that water.
Yeah, there's a lot of odd ways to run around this particular map. There's no real path in the middle. There's a lot of I'm expecting most of the action to be on the west side of the map. But there is always the option for a run-by on the east. So we'll have to see if either of that comes into play. Looks like we're having a lobby remake. So there's too many observers. But we will get there. And then once we have the map seed set, we can get this third game in this series going. ChipFromSpace perhaps surprisingly up 2-0 against ZenoAkoop after losing the last week's finals to the same Zeno. So have to see if Zeno can pull it back. And here we are in the army selection. With
Instant minds from Zeno.
Yeah, ZenoAkoop versus Chip. Game 3 in this best of 5 with ChipFromSpace being up 2-0. And I think mines are definitely a strong pick on this map because there's quite a few choke points that you can just control with good mine placement. We'll have to see if Chip can scout them out with an item, and Chip is going to go for a wolf here.
No structures for Zeno.
Alright, so ChipFromSpace again as Hopper, I do believe, in the north map, with ZenoAkoop all the way in the south as Bellafeed. And yes, the mines from Zeno, we'll have to see where he ends up placing them, but I feel like they can definitely do a lot of damage, because there's only so much space your units will actually walk on a map like this, with this much water and like the hill in the middle. And what do you think about this wolf pick? Because both players actually went for the wolf.
I don't see any particular reason someone would pick a wolf on this roundabout map. I think that may suggest that players are willing to go for a bit longer game, which is really unclear to me.
Question is, are they picking the wolf to buff their economy, or are they looking to go with wolf and falcon, perhaps?
If I think of it, this map has this map has the longest distance to the enemy we have seen so far, right?
True.
So maybe wolf makes sense in that sense that you could go for a longer game. And both players, and picking tier 3 doesn't mean that you have to use it.
And talking about a long distance map, ZenoAkoop is just going to go falcon first.
Yeah, that was 7 farm falcon that we saw. ChipFromSpace just going for the normal 7 farm into squirrels, I believe.
And Chip did scout that Zeno went tier 2 first, so we'll see if he tries to do anything about it. Zeno has the mines to try and defend. So we will see if it comes into play. Zeno is adding on some squirrels to do a bit more standard, but Chip is coming in with these squirrels, but with how big this map is and not being able to go through the middle, Zeno might just have enough units out in time. His second falcon is going to pop out as this fight starts, so here comes Chip. He's going to be looking to pick off a farm if he can, but he's quite careful about it. Just going to come in range of this pig. It is going to go down, and it looks like he is going to try and retreat now. So he's going to take his 1 farm win and retreat. But these falcons can go through the water, so they will eventually catch up with the squirrels despite the road. So Chip does lose quite a few things on the retreat.
Three squirrels. The food is matched, but it got a time from economy. Slow down a bit.
Yeah, and Zeno hasn't started rebuilding the farm yet, so Zeno is behind just a little bit in terms of economy here. And Chip has opted for his own falcons, and Chip is going to be ahead in army count for a while because Zeno has has a base going already. And he is going to add on some mines on the east side of the map, ZenoAkoop. So he is if there is an attack there, he will know about it as the mine goes up. But in the meantime, he's not paying attention to his army, with ChipFromSpace coming in trying to clean this up, and ZenoAkoop losing his expensive falcon. Although Chip lost a bit more squirrels than maybe he should have, but taking out the falcon is definitely a good thing for Chip.
Yeah, Chip jumped up to equal ZenoAkoop's army value right before that fight, and then dived in just at the right moment, and is now a little bit far ahead, about 2 tier 2s ahead. ZenoAkoop, of course, reinforcing with that falcon there, so starting to climb back. But excellent timing from Chip, whether he intended to do that just by feel, or whether he was watching his unit timers to go in at the right time.
And
Zeno has pigeons as well, I would like to mention, instead of Chip having them, so that could play into longer games.
Adding in some pigeons here, which are definitely going to help against the ferrets that Chip could be going for. But interestingly enough, both players do go for an expand, and are sort of playing this map a bit more passive than maybe we've seen in the past. And as sort of predicted, they are favoring the west side of the map here. With Zeno reinforcing his position with a few landmines, not too many. Gonna add in some skunks and just slowly work on his economy. Whereas Chip went for another falcon warren, it looks like, so just squirrels and falcons. Squirrels and flying squirrels, one would say. Zeno is going to be ahead in economy, despite losing the farm early if Chip doesn't start building farms again.
Chip going up to 4 falcons, where ZenoAkoop has gone for skunks instead. Interesting to see how that affects the army, considering that the majority of Chip's power is in the air as falcons.
Well, Chip does have more squirrels than Zeno as well. Not that many, but Zeno is still in the process of adding in more squirrels. But Chip is going to have to be a little bit careful about these landmines. I don't believe he scouted them. There is a chance he knows about them. Okay, he probably knows that they're because he's being really careful. Okay, 1 landmine goes off, so most of the squirrels are actually pretty low. Okay, so Chip has to pull back, losing half of his squirrels, and Zeno tries to take an engagement off of it, but Chip is just going to retreat, and Zeno says, okay, I will build farms. And now Chip has to work on his economy, but also has to reinforce his amount of squirrels. And I think Zeno has somehow managed to pull back into this game, despite losing a farm so early.
Past that 5-minute mark, so the first 4 farms on each player's base have farmed out. ZenoAkoop, of course, with that advantage of having expanded slightly earlier, and of bringing those farms up a little bit earlier, on 12 farms to ChipFromSpace's 10.
I think it's also important to note that on a map like this, Battlefield has a lot easier time to get the bases all the way in the east, but it looks like Chip is preparing for another attack, brings his entire army through the river, Skunk Ass goes off, Zeno does lose a skunk right away. Chip's Falcon's doing a lot of damage here, and Chip is actually taking out these skunks so early. Looks like he's just overpowering Zeno. Just hitting the farms right now. 1 pig going down, 2 pigs going down. Is focusing the mill with his Falcons, and I think Zeno is going to lose this base. So now Zeno, all of a sudden, he had 2 skunks, but only managed to get 3 shots off in total. And now he does get another skunk out, so Chip is going to start pulling back, but Zeno lost his pigeon warren and the base. So where does Zeno go from here?
I don't know that there's much of a place that he can go. I mean, he's only got 2 farms left. Chip has 7. If Chip keeps
Zeno,
being as aggressive as he is right now, Zeno doesn't have a lot of a shot.
And Zeno probably just has to pray for Chip to not move in and kill him right now, but looking at what Chip has been playing before, chances are that's not going to happen. Zeno is selling off his skunks because he needs the food to expand again. Chip looks like he's just going to do the same thing again, try and get this position. Moving in through the water, it does have a lot of toads, 9 of them in total. The squirrel numbers are even. ZenoAkoop is currently starving, has about 40 seconds left. Chip is getting into position and Zeno says, okay. Zeno is going to call it there, and with that, ChipFromSpace is going to be advancing to the Grand Finals, which is going to be our last match of today, and